Y'all, I got the most diabolical stuff to tell y'all. So we're gonna start off with Gypsy, then we're gonna go on with the whole Diddy stuff, okay? Because it's wild. Y'all, this is about to be tea. So y'all remember Dreamer? Dreamer called me a black bee. Okay, she been on my neck. She talks about, oh, you lost your daughter when I never lost my daughter. Her dad just had temporary physical custody, and I have her back. And it wasn't because she was abused or anything like that. But remember, she used to be all up my ass. Why did Dreamer's daughter go on a live last night? Showed birth certificates, everything. Dreamer's daughter and son were adopted to another family. Dreamer went to prison, for neglecting her kids. That's how she lost custody. The sister said that her and her brother used to share baby food to survive. And wait, if you think that's bad, just hold on to your wig caps. Dreamer was selling that ass. She got holes in her pantyhose, even her daddy knows. Daughter came on the live. So she has not raised any of her kids. Dreamer admitted to this. That was not in my 2025 bingo card. And I'm not trying to be rude, but how was you selling that poutine and you wasn't giving your kids food? And I want to know who was buying that. Like, when they say dudes will smash anything, baby. Anyway, y'all, I'm going to find a live. And I'm going to put it in here. Or put it in my next video. Because, baby, to find out Dreamer was a hooker, and you get on this app and troll people? And judge them for everything? Like, look, if you want to sell it, boo, do you. But don't be getting on apps judging folks. Y'all, I don't have no words. I don't have no words. Anyway, y'all, this is going to be a jam-packed video. So buckle up, buttercups.
I guess Gypsy Rose's baby's pictures were leaked online. This is not the first time this has happened. Gypsy Rose posts pictures of her baby with stickers over the baby's face. And apparently it's not hard to remove the sticker, which is pretty good for us moms to know that this technology exists. I'm not going to show them. I will show you one thing though, but I'm not going to show these. I'm sure you can search them and find them if you want to see them. Christy had posted half of the baby's face right here. Christy posted this. Okay, but let's look at the little caption here. I'm going to overlay it, but it says something like, Mia and I caught this candid picture, whatever, during the photo shoot. So she's showing the half face picture and mentioning Mia, which is Gypsy Rose's biggest trigger per Gypsy Rose, but it goes deeper than that. There's audio of Christy saying how the baby looks like Mia. That's going to be in another video I'm posting. The pictures that are floating around is full on baby face, full on. Some of the pictures have been enhanced. You can tell that they're AI. Other pictures look like an actual baby. I mean, we've been through this. This happened a couple months ago. Gypsy Rose said, "Oh, they're fake," but then got in the person's inbox that removed the sticker. Like, how could you? You're exposing a baby's face, even though she's shown half the baby's face, three-quarters of the baby's face already. I think what she's doing here is just itching for these pictures to get out. Otherwise, she would not be doing this over and over again. I think she wants these pictures out because she wants to be like, hey, they're already out. I might as well sell them. I think that some people want to see Gypsy Rose's baby's face because they want to see if the baby has the distinctive features of the 1Q2.1 micro deletion like Gypsy. Because I think, number one, they kind of want to be able to make sure and hold Gypsy Rose accountable that she is getting her baby the treatment that her baby will require because of the micro deletion. And also because people are inherently nosy. Gypsy Rose is a public figure and they want to see what the baby looks like. If the baby looks like Ryan, maybe. I don't know. But more on that Gypsy Blanchard audio about how the baby looks like Mia coming up.
Beyonce's internet to the center because in 2 days, Surviving Diddy is dropping and baby, the streets are shaking. We are officially 48 hours away from the documentary that's about to expose decades worth of Hollywood secrets. And the timing? Child. 50 Cent released this trailer like a man who's been waiting to hit press send since 2011. And Diddy just got convicted. New witnesses flipping, the gun photos, the freak-off testimony, the raids, the surveillance footage, the drug mule immunity, the alleged RICO breadcrumbs, and now a full Netflix doc. Oh, we're about to witness chaos in Ultra HD, baby. And I already know how this is going to go. Twitter crying, TikTok fighting, Instagram pretending they already knew Hollywood is in shambles. And the celebrities that were in the same rooms with Diddy, oh, they're sweating boots. 50 Cent is not just dropping a documentary. He's dropping career-ending Easter eggs, okay? I don't care what y'all have planned. Cancel it. December 2nd, I'm clocking in with snacks, sage, and a backup charger. This isn't just a documentary. This is Diddy's reckoning. And trust me, I'm covering every step of it.
They consider a pre-existing beef, right? For 20 years, right? It's me being uncomfortable with him suggesting that he takes me shopping, or I looked at it like it was like a tester. Like maybe
Yeah,
you'll
he
come play
wanted
with
the
me,
party.
type of thing, right? And it's not personal.
I think it's important to also let people know that the show is not completely the perspectives of people that did not like Sean. We weren't trying to just get the highlights, the salacious details. You know, that the real goal was to storytell. And not everyone needed to have an allegation to be a part of this project.
The 4-part series also features 2 jurors from Combs' trial who are speaking for the first time about how they reached their mixed verdict, finding Combs guilty of 2 prostitution offenses, but clear of racketeering and sex trafficking charges, both sharing their thoughts on the relationship between Combs and singer Cassie. Juror 75 describing them as 2 people in love, and Juror 160 saying in part, domestic violence wasn't one of the charges. Cassie, is she a victim in all this?
I believe Cassie's a victim in all this because she came in she's like 18, like 19 years old in the very beginning. After a while, over time, you condition for it.
The goal of what the film is trying to do is to let the audience kind of come in to ask questions like, were their decisions colored by certain things, and who got the benefit of the doubt, in that courtroom?
Do you think that hip-hop culture was on trial as much as Sean Combs was?
Look, if I didn't say anything, you would interpret it as the hip-hop is fine with his behaviors. There's no one else being vocal. So you would look at it and just say, because that mind your business, or let me not say nothing about nothing, or those things, it would allow the entire culture to register as if they're for that behavior.
If Sean Combs watches this, what do you think he's going to feel?
Like, wow, this is amazing. I think he's going to say this is the best documentary I've seen in a long time. Because you'll see people saying that. He may feel a different way about pieces and bits of it, but he knows the truth. I think he'll see the truth in it.
He said Diddy's going to think it's the best documentary. But let's be real. He smirked, and we know that 50 is petty. But I also think the jurors speaking out and seeing the 2 jurors, it makes sense. Because you see that man, he looked like the type that would think what he did to Cassie is okay. I'm happy some of the jurors are exposing themselves. They need to. Because the people that made these decisions, there should be more transparency, because if you support predatory behavior, just say that. That's how I feel. I see a lot of Black men in the comments section saying, oh, they're just trying to take him down, blah, 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 blah. But that just doesn't even insinuate. It directly says, like, you support that behavior. I don't know, but I think this is going to be a very, very interesting documentary. And I don't think that he's going to like it at all, if I'm going to be honest with you. I think he's saying that right now to make sure that he don't try to file anything real quick to stop it from coming out.
We have to find somebody that'll work with us that has dealt in the dirtiest of dirty business.
Diddy
We're
is
losing.
cooked.
Puffy, Puff Daddy, Diddy, Sean Combs. All of these leading promotions, all those known fingers are caught some really bad deeds. Everything in life, you're gonna have people that are bad and people that are good. You have to choose your side.
Now, Diddy's attorneys are saying they don't know where 50 got this footage from, and nobody authorized this to be released. I have a feeling that maybe his baby mama has something to do with it. I don't know. This is pure speculation. But he is such a op that you have a whole documentary about you. I would never want to have beef with 50. Like, because I don't think I could ever reach to that level just because I don't have the energy. Like, damn 50. I don't know how you got that footage, but you a good one. You are a good one. And if you got that, y'all, I am salivating. I'm literally setting my alarm and going to sleep extra early to wake up for when it's released. Like, that's how much I'm salivating. Like, I don't like that man. So I am drooling. I want y'all to keep in mind that every move Diddy has made while he was in prison, TMZ has been putting it on social media and in articles. This is a PR crisis for his team. They have been trying to portray him in another way since he went to sentencing. This is like mopping your house because your kid spilt a cup of water and then your whole house floods. Like, everything that you just did was a waste of time. Do you understand how diabolical this is right now? Do you understand how I know Harvey from TMZ has to be sitting there like, I wonder what is in this? Y'all, this is another level. Like, I am salivating! Y'all, but I'm going to go to bed early. I'm going to take my little shower. I got my clock set because, baby, I will be up to watch this documentary. And I will be reporting to y'all. Okay, bright and early. Get your popcorn. Call out of work. Do what you gotta do. Because we are watching The Reckoning. The Reckoning. Not A Reckoning. Hear me? A Reckoning. The Reckoning. Okay? Ooh, child. My weekend gonna fall back. I know it. Let me tell y'all something right now. That Diddy documentary didn't just make me emotional. It made me angry. Like, ancestral level angry. Because I finally realized the level of how much this man took from us. I have already been very vocal about disliking him and the things that he's done. Tupac, Biggie, women, employees, artists, our culture, our history, decades of silence and fear and cover up, all wrapped into a man that thought he was untouchable. You think I'm angry just because of the crimes? No, I'm angry because of the ripple. You know, like Tupac, Biggie, they weren't just rappers. They were the heartbeat of a generation. They were storytellers, visionaries, men who changed the world every time they dropped a track. And if what these people are saying is true, and it lines up with Keefe D and other people's stories, his ego was bigger than anything else, and that's what took them out. Diddy didn't just rob their fans. He robbed all of us. He robbed a culture of what could have been. And now that this documentary is like dropping witness after witness, people collaborating, the stories of Keefe D's, the details, like suddenly everybody's talking. They're not protecting him anymore. This is what justice looks like when it's been waiting too long, when the truth finally stops being scared. And what pisses me off the most is how many lives were shattered while he was out here creating a brand and building an empire and walking carpets and throwing parties and acting like the world was his goddamn playground. All that power, money, and fame built on the backs of people he hurt and silenced and intimidated and erased and misused their trust. So yes, I want justice. I want justice for Pac. I want justice for Biggie and for the women and the men that he has abused. For the people behind the scenes, for the artists who's lost their careers, for everyone whose life was twisted behind the scenes while we were all distracted by the shiny image of him. And if these charges come the way I think they will, just know Karma didn't lose his address. It was just waiting for the right documentary. And I think that part of why this documentary dropped is to cause public pressure to get justice. I'll do a better recap, but this is my instant thoughts after watching it. If you watch that Diddy documentary and you are still defending that man, you are just as much of a monster as he is. We need to be demanding the feds and the states reinvestigate these murders, because it is very, very clear there was enough proof in that documentary that Diddy had everything to do with Biggie and Tupac's unaliving. And if you're defending Diddy, you are literally saying that Biggie and Tupac don't matter. Everyone that continuously says that it is a takedown of a black man, he unalived, allegedly, 2 black men. Do their lives not matter? Biggie and Tupac were great losses. And I want people to really understand what he took from us when he took Tupac. The wisdom that Tupac had has changed the world. But imagine if he was here today. Imagine the impact he would have had on the youth of this generation. He took that. He stole that from us. And black men have the nerve to get on this goddamn app and say that it is a takedown of a black man. Do you see how many victims he has brutalized, mistreated, abused their trust? He is a monster, and we need to be demanding justice and demanding investigations. And if you're not, you're part of the problem. If you like predators, just say that that's your thing. But if this was your niece, your nephew, your friend, your family member, you'd want justice for them. If you defend predatory behavior and people that unalive people to get what they want, and nobody could be bigger or better than them, so they unalive them because of that, then that's your prerogative. Just, if you lack integrity, that's okay. Just put that in the comments. You don't have to say, I'm defending him. I lack integrity. Okay, that's your prerogative, sis. But for the rest of us, we don't condone monster behavior. That's not something that we condone. It's weird that you'd condone that. Like, very weird. Something's not right. You condone abusers? Like, what's really going on? Let me tell y'all something. The more that I sit with this documentary, the more it becomes crystal clear to me, this isn't just a story about Diddy. This is a story about power, protection, silence, and people who paid the price for somebody else's ego. And the stuff they showed, the patterns, the witnesses, the footage, baby, this is years of truth finally crawling out of the shadows. First of all, the fact that Diddy had a videographer following him around until the arrest, and that footage is allegedly what ended up getting sold to Netflix, that alone is crazy. And if you know anything about recording laws, the footage belongs to the person that holds the camera, not the celebrity, not the image, the person recording. So you're telling me the very evidence that might destroy him was filmed by someone he hired? The universe has jokes. Then add this. The doc didn't hold back. He referred to himself as God. That let me know exactly the kind of power complex we were dealing with. People in the documentary also highlighted how chaotic the environment around him was growing up, okay? The vibes were loud, they were actual, and kind of out of control. And the people that really watched closely, some viewers are even pointing out the behavior of adults around him were questionable. I told y'all originally I felt like his mama was the original diddler. That's just my personal opinion. Now, I'm not diagnosing him, but what I am saying is that type of environment does shape something very dark, okay? Now let's talk about the witnesses. Former employees, artists, people from his crew, women, industry insiders. They all describe the same patterns: control, fear, emotional chaos, intimidation, manipulation. When the patterns across decades match, that's not a coincidence. That's a blueprint. And don't get me started on the money stuff. Artists, after they got that first big check, then nothing. No transparency, no real financial growth, just contracts that lock people in while he lives his life like a king. Then this is the part that I think is really interesting. There's Keefe D, okay? The people that corroborate his story. I'm not saying he's guilty. I'm saying that the doc made it very clear that there are multiple people that have been whispering the same stories for years. It kind of makes me wonder if this documentary was dropped so that public perception would be different, so it's easier to go after him. But I don't know. And here's the part that I truly believe. The government agencies have pieces of this puzzle for a very long time, okay? But whether it's fear or money or thinking he would beat the case, anyway, nobody pushed it. But I think that might change. And let's be honest, public pressure will do what the system refuses to do. Here's another thing that I think is very important to note. I'll be sure avoided Kim Porter's death, okay? He didn't say much at all. And when people stay that quiet, it's never because they don't have anything to say. It's because it would start a fire. So I'm assuming that there's something open with her unaliving. Now, the documentary brought back old conversations, all right? Remember that bathroom unaliving connected to King Combs? That party? They didn't deep dive, they didn't accuse, but the implications were loud enough to make people say, hold on, let's revisit this one. And why is every major celebrity who partied with him suddenly on Do Not Disturb? Because silence is safer than honesty right now, right? If you were even adjacent to that lifestyle, you're probably praying your name doesn't come up. And if we're going to be very real, this doc felt less like entertainment and more like evidence. Footage, patterns, witnesses, story lineups for different decades. And for the first time ever, the invisible image of Diddy is cracking. The shield is gone, and the public sympathy is gone. The fear is gone. This isn't just a documentary. This is the reckoning. I don't think he'll be able to beat this. Kandi Burruss is living in a Real Housewives of Atlanta episode right now because Todd didn't just file for custody. He's trying to blow up the entire prenup. Let me break this down so it all makes sense. So Todd went to the court and said he should get primary custody because the kids live with him while Kandi is out of state working. That alone is already a bold claim. But then he adds the real twist. He's questioning whether the prenup is valid.
Well, it could have been a scheme that Todd set up for him to come to you with the bush.
He says he signed it right before the wedding, under pressure and without proper legal representation. Y'all, he is challenging the prenup, is basically saying, tear it up and run me that Real Housewives of Atlanta money. I ain't saying she a gold digger, but he ain't marrying no. And if the prenup gets thrown out, everything becomes fair game. Assets, income, property, alimony, and Todd is already hinting he might be asking for support. This is giving strategy, not coincidence. Meanwhile, don't forget, Kandi is the one with the empire. She's the breadwinner. She's the name. Todd's pushing for custody, questioning prenup, and putting his filings on record in a way that forces leverage. He wants her to settle. Ooh, he is the biggest mistake she ever made. I mean, look, I know she loves her children, but he's going to be a problem. And let's be honest, the fact that they just did Thanksgiving and celebrated their kid's birthday like nothing was brewing, oh, this divorce is going to be messy. Atlanta girlies, prepare yourselves. Because if Todd gets away with this could change not only custody, but Kandi's entire financial landscape. This is not small. This is huge. Stay tuned. Before we could even touch the arrest in the Rebecca Parker death, we need to get some facts straight because a lot of people got it wrong. And it's kind of crazy because they're the people that are like, we're giving right information, and talking about other creators, which is very interesting because their stories are wrong. So let's correct the story. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying this is all alleged. Most of it, okay? And a lot of it is from news articles. So I would assume it's been confirmed from these articles, but I'm going to give you guys what I know. Rebecca and Kimberly were not raised by Courtney. Okay, so Courtney is the bio mom. They weren't raised by her. They were adopted as babies, and adoptive parents raised Rebecca, Kimberly, and they are raising Rebecca's two older kids and Kimberly's child as well. So this means Courtney wasn't actively raising her 2 kids. Rebecca has 2 other children that are living and being cared by the adoptive parents. So the adoptive parents seem to be the stable caregivers, or like the central caregivers within the family. So this was being misreported online. And I misreported on this as well, so I want to clear this up. Kimberly's boyfriend is actually Courtney's former boyfriend, not Rebecca's. So the Cash App card that was found on the scene wasn't Richie's, it wasn't Rebecca's, and it wasn't Kimberly's. It belongs to Kimberly's incarcerated boyfriend, allegedly, who is also the bio mom's ex-boyfriend. Now, Courtney and her husband have been arrested, and they are being arraigned at 1:30 p.m. today. We still don't know the charges, but that means 4 adults connected to Rebecca are now in custody. So the fiance, Richie, the sister, Kimberly, the biological mom, Courtney, and the stepfather, Brad. So this is basically turning into a full-on family collapse. Now, Rebecca was not found near the home, okay? A lot of people have been saying that she was found by the home. She was not. She was found 4 miles away in Manistee Forest, okay? In an area that volunteers say had been searched before. Now, that raises real questions about whether or not her body was moved and when she was placed there, who had access to that location, and where the baby is. Now, Brad was taken out to allegedly by the police last night in the area, and they were looking for something. So we don't know if they were actually looking for the baby or what they were looking for or what he allegedly knew was there. Now, I do want to also speak about the fact that her family history has a lot to do with what's happening. People are really focusing on what happened the day she was found, but really to understand what's going on, the family history makes a lot of sense. Now, being that Rebecca was not raised by her mother, and her adopted parents are a middle-class household, they said that she was raised in a good home, that should make you wonder, how did Rebecca and Kimberly end up with Courtney? That is very important, because that's going to give you some context to this. Now, the adopted mom says that she had spoken to Rebecca on Halloween, and she wished one of her kids a happy birthday or a happy Halloween. It might have been both, but don't quote me on that. But there's a lot of questions to me, because that family dynamic makes you wonder, A, was there jealousy? What was going on? Now, allegedly, Courtney, the biological mom, was taking fertility treatments. Now, she is known to lie about being pregnant. That should be noted as well. Because the baby wasn't on the scene. The baby's missing. She was taking fertility medicine. She did not raise her kids. They were raised by their adopted mother. Now, again, Rebecca's repeating history that her mom has done. She wasn't raising her 2 kids either. The adoptive parents have been raising those kids, and Kimberly's child. So there's a lot of questions. There is a lot of questions, and there's a lot of stuff that obviously is not known that we probably need to know to be able to understand what's going on. So there's that, but I did want to clear the air, and I did want to tell you guys what I know versus what I don't know and what I'm unsure about. So this Rebecca Park case just went from heartbreaking to absolutely horrifying. A pregnant woman was found dead. Her baby was missing. 4 family members are in jail, and the charges read like something out of a horror movie. 22-year-old Rebecca Park went missing on November 3rd from Manton, Michigan. Okay, she was 38 to 39 weeks pregnant, so she was literally full term. Now, on November 25th, a body was found in Manistee National Forest. The autopsy confirmed what everybody feared. It was Rebecca. And here's the chilling part. She was no longer pregnant, and the baby was not with her. And then everything exploded. Rebecca's biological mother, Courtney Bartholomew, and her stepdad, Bradley Bartholomew, were arrested and hit with harsh charges. First-degree premeditated murder, felony murder, torture, assault on a pregnant individual causing stillbirth, conspiracy, unlawful imprisonment, and moving a body without permission. Both were denied bond, and these charges are only seen in the very worst cases. But they weren't the only ones. Rebecca's fiance, Richard Lee Fowler, was arrested too, but on drug charges, not murder charges. 2 counts of meth distribution, and Rebecca's sister, Kimberly Park, was charged with lying to the police, tampering with evidence, and filing a false report. Both are still in jail. They do both have a bond, I believe, but neither are charged with actual unaliving. Rebecca was living in a small trailer with her fiance and his father. The father told the police that Rebecca was there that night she disappeared. He said she got up around midnight, walked past the grandson, and left out the door. The next morning, he said his son refused to let him inside of the room. And he claimed that he didn't hear from Rebecca all night. and wasn't able to reach her. Police searched the trailer top to bottom. I'm talking about knives, electronics, notebooks, even asking about a septic tank. The warrant literally mentions searching for human remains, including a fetus. That tells you what the investigators were suspecting. Tonight's biggest unanswered question is the one that keeps everybody up. Where is the baby? Authorities confirmed that Rebecca was no longer pregnant when she was found. No body, no remains, no location. As of right now, the baby is still missing. And here's the update that everybody needs. Richard and Kimberly have preliminary hearings on December 9th. That is where the prosecutor can add new charges, upgrade the charges, or reveal forensic evidence, okay? This case is still active and it's getting pretty dark. Now, it's said that they literally cut the baby out of her tummy while she was alive. I'll keep following this because something is deeply wrong here. And until we know what happened to Rebecca and her baby, this case is far from over. But I do want to remind you guys that Rebecca was not raised by Courtney, who's her biological mother. Rebecca was adopted with her sister Kimberly, and they were raised by the parents that adopt her. Rebecca has 2 kids, and they are being raised by the adopted mother. And Kimberly has 1 child, and that child is being raised by the adopted mother as well. Keep your prayers with the family, because for her mother to have to sit in the courtroom and hear what happened to her had to be absolutely devastating. And I pray for the kids. It's chilling.
Now, I'm sure there's some people out there who believe they can never get scammed, but if this lady walk into your home, she leaving with your social security number. Meet Elizabeth Holmes, the woman who scammed the world out of $10 billion with the promise that she was going to change the medical field. She lied. And it all started because Elizabeth had a problem. Even from a young age, she loved money. Her parents said, girl, what you want for Christmas? She said, stacks. Now, thing is, her parents weren't broke. They had money, but she wanted more. She started going to Stanford University to study chemical engineering, but she started touching her pockets. She said, hold on, I'm broke. She said, Professor, when I start getting the real racks? The professor said, well, the real racks, as you put it, is our contribution to science. She said, oh, that's broke talk. So she leaves to study abroad in China amongst the real bag chasers. She said, Shenzai Nali. They said, Juju Ming Li did and Buhui when Jiga Wenti. Elizabeth said, man, watch out with all that. I get money. Matter of fact, I'm gonna just start my own business. And that's when Elizabeth decides to start her own business, creating a medical device, to be more specific. Now, you need to listen to this next part closely. You know how when you go to the hospital, you get your blood drawn so a doctor could figure out what's going on with your body? Well, Elizabeth's plan was to make a machine so all you'd have to do is get your finger pricked and a machine would scan you almost instantly. Now, the problem is actual blood analysis machines are so sophisticated and require so many parts that her idea was pretty much impossible. In fact, her professor tells her this. Elizabeth said, impossible for you, brokey. I'm gonna figure it out. Elizabeth drops out of school. She started telling people about her company so she could start raising some money. And what I tell you about her in the beginning of the video, if she walk into your house, she leaving with some. Her neighbor gives her $500,000. Her parents start throwing cash at her too. In fact, in just a few months, she raises $7 million. And her company, Theranos, was born. Some of the richest billionaires on earth start joining her. People who used to work for Apple, CEOs, politicians, they all start throwing money at her. She's valuated at around $30 million. She just started. They said, girl, where the machine at though? She said, huh? Oh, it's coming, it's coming. She creates a research department. She rushes in. She says, yo, where my machine at, y'all? They said, girl, I think your professor was right. This is tough. She said, how you know what my professor said? You wasn't in that part of the story. It don't matter. Make my machine. They said, all right, girl, it's the weekend though. When we come back Monday, she said, weekend? Boy, if you don't get in the lab. Oh yeah, Elizabeth was a tyrant. If you ain't with it, you gotta get out the way. Matter of fact, she hires an entirely new research team. And she says, hey, whoever makes my machine is my research team. Whoever don't, you fired. So her old research team start busting their ass, but it don't matter. What she wanted to create was impossible. Her chief financial officer figures that out. He started looking at the numbers. He said, Elizabeth, we worth $200 million now, but we don't have a machine. She said, you don't have a job, you fired. Fires him on the spot. He rushes over to the board of directors. Remember, CEOs, billionaires. He said, check your pockets, y'all. Elizabeth's scamming. They said, what? That's our job. Elizabeth, get in here right now. Their plan was to figure out what's going on and throw her out. But what did I say in the beginning of the video? she walk into your house, she leaving with something. Elizabeth walk in, cool as a fan. She said, yeah. They said, Elizabeth, where the machine? Where my money? She said, now, I don't know what she said, but what I do know is after that meeting, she convinced all the board of directors to stay. She convinced them a machine is on its way. And she convinced them to give her a majority stake in the company so she can make all the decisions and they can never question her again. She then looks at her employees and said, if anybody else want to run their mouth like that CFO, you fired and you getting sued. Everyone stay quiet. Now at this point, her company's worth about 10 billion. She starts to get really famous. And here's where things start to get wicked. She wanted more. Walgreens pulls up to her. They said, girl, we seen you on TV. She said, no pictures. They said, well, what about a check? They give her $140 million so her machines can be placed in their stores. So she takes the check, goes to her research department and says, okay, I need a couple machines for the Walgreens store. They said, did you build a machine? Because I don't see one in this lab. She said, okay, you fired. Anybody else? Her scientist said, Elizabeth, there is no machine. She said, okay, but Walgreens gave me some samples that we need to test. They said, Elizabeth, there is no machine. She says, what you mean? I see a machine right there. She decides to use regular blood testing machines that hospitals and everybody uses. And then she pretends that her machine did it. Walgreens says, amazing. When can we get the actual machines in the stores though? Elizabeth said, nothing. When the deadline came, she just didn't give them anything. People started saying, that's a little suspicious. See, at this point from when she created the company, it had been about 10 years. Still no machine. And at this point, she had made a lot of enemies. So people, including her employees, start talking to an investigative reporter. Elizabeth finds out. She rushes over to the reporter. She says, stop this story or you're getting sued. The reporter says, girl, I work for the Wall Street Journal. My boss is Rupert Murdoch. He got $20 billion. We not scared of you. But remember, she has some of the richest people in the world on her board. One of those people was Rupert Murdoch. She goes over to him. She says, stop this article from coming out. He said, nah, I believe in my team. They're going to tell the truth. Oh, and they told the truth all right. They told the world she was scamming. Elizabeth, though, cool as a fan, she said, that's cap. She gets a knock on the door. She said, who that? They said, it's the FDA. We came to do a surprise inspection on your laboratory. See what's all going on. She said, today? They said, surprise. They investigate her laboratory and find out her machine doesn't work, and it all starts crumbling down. Government agencies start piling on. Her investors begin to sue the hell out of her. She even gets sued by the state of Arizona because of all the tests she conducted on people. Fake tests with her machine that didn't work, and doctors need accurate tests so they can diagnose people. She loses hundreds of millions of dollars. She said, well, at least the FBI swooped in. They said, girl, don't even say nothing. Put your hands behind your back. Oh yeah, the FBI had been investigating her. They already had their case. She was facing 22 years. Now, something I didn't mention was she had a business partner who she was in a relationship with named Sonny. The FBI came down on both of them. She basically says that like Sonny influenced her, but she takes responsibility and she starts the trial pregnant. She's basically getting as much sympathy as possible. Sonny denies it. He said, all she want is paper at all times. I'm a bag chaser too, but that girl wild. The judge said, and that's gonna be your only line in the story, 13 years. Elizabeth said, and what about me? The judge said, you know what, you were facing 22 years, but we're just gonna have you do 3 months. She said, okay. The judge said, and 11 years. She said, why did you say it like that? He said, don't tell me how to do my job. Take her away. And well, there it was. As far as prisons go, she got locked up in a pretty nice one, but it's still prison. And just remember, there are a lot of people who deal in the business of selling dreams. But sometimes if it sounds too good to be true,